Okay. So if I understand you, you're saying basically like you're getting 100% self-care. You're filling your cup. In 3 hours is what fills your cup in a sense, but you're not using, and I think this is what's interesting to me lately is you're not using self-care to mitigate stress. You're using self-care to care for yourself, to instead of saying, okay, well, how much self-care how much stress can I get away with
Yeah.
having here?
Yeah.
It's, well, no, I'm supposed to be a fully functioning human being, and so it seems like you're saying how much self-care and what does it look like do I need in order to be a fully functioning human being?
Exactly. And then creating my life and the things around my life in service to that and not the other way around. Most people
Mm-hmm.
are slaves to their calendar, slaves to their commitments. And then I get on the phone or on Zoom with lawyers and they're dealing with anxiety and burnout and overwhelm. And they've built this thing that feels like a prison. And they are not getting their own time, right? Because it's in
Right.
service to everyone else. And so I'm saying we need to make very difficult decisions and shift this, because if you are getting the crumbs of your own time, nobody that loves you is really getting the best from you, and it's not fair.
Yeah. Okay. So I've I feel this as you can imagine. When I was practicing, I felt this. And, I still feel it now. But as I took some time to say, well, what does self-care look like to me? I don't always have great ideas because I just kind of go, well, I don't do a spa day. Well, all right. So first thing I do, like I do a spa day, like that'll work for me. But when I was first starting to kind of think about what are the things that I enjoy, what does fill my cup, I don't know. It had been so long since I had really just
Mhm.
said, okay, well, I'm going to do something for me. Fun for me was being successful in a case, being successful at the office. It wasn't, now I do blacksmithing a decent bit, but it wasn't that. So what are some things that you think about with self-care, or what are some unconventional kind of like overlooked ways of practicing self-care?
So, boundaries are a form of self care. What
Ooh.
you say yes to and what you say no to, which is also going to affect your time, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
having boundaries in place to know here are my non negotiables, here's what I say yes to, here's what I say no to, is a form of self care. Um, Keeping your commitments to yourself is a form of self care because it creates self trust, right? And so when you have self
Yeah,
trust, you show up in the world more confidently because you know that if nobody else got you got you because you're keeping your commitments to yourself. Um,
I like that,
you're like, oh,
man. Yeah,
yeah.
because I can envision scenarios in my life where I'm like, I'm never going to do that, or where I don't trust myself. Like, yes, Zach, you want to do that, but there's no way you're going to pull that off because you're just going to let it slip through the cracks. So you're not going to show up for yourself like that.
Yeah. And so then what like naturally curiosity is a form of self-care like you. I'm
Mm,
always reading, learning. My daughter says I study studying. So I'm always studying something because it feeds that intellectual self-care for
yeah.
me. But then there are two times where my mind needs the freedom to do nothing. So I spend a lot of time near water. So whether it's the lake
Mm,
by my house or float therapy or something that will allow me to be near water. So I know my own prescription for self-care and what works for me to show up as the best version of me. And if somebody says I don't know what I like to do, that's probably the first place you've gotten so disconnected from yourself that you don't even know what you like.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? That's probably a good place to start is figuring out what is it that I really like and enjoy that actually feeds me.
Right. Well, and I think that you can follow that path and generally find other things that you enjoy and that feed you that are related or you know if you wind up, I have found if you wind up at a class of something that you're interested in,
Yeah.
you'll probably get to talking to people who have some of the same interests as you. And so you might, these things feed off themselves a little bit as well.